Well, I did quite an in-depth look at TRVL yesterday. I haven't actually posted a video. So if you haven't watched my video from yesterday, if you look at my live stream, I just do it at the beginning. Yeah, I do a whole, I think I did about an hour on TRVL. And I just go through different things. Maybe I should kind of cut it and post it. I know it's quite long, but I think we could be coming to an end. And what I've done now, just following on from my yesterday's comments, is I'm just kind of imagining this whole first thing as one wave without trying to count it. And what we're in currently is some kind of corrective move, right? So what I've been doing now is just reevaluating my analysis a little bit, just kind of thinking outside the box. Imagining the all-time low was the 0 and the 1 ended there, and in and around all of this shit you've got 5 waves, 3 impulsive and 2 corrective. And obviously because of the low liquidity, the illiquid nature of this token, it kind of looks really crazy, so you can't, makes it difficult to count. So therefore I am imagining that we're in some kind of corrective move. I don't really know what it is. Again, it's not easy because of the liquid nature of it and the lack of volume. Potentially something like an ABCD or some kind of WXY. And I am thinking the correction ends at this month, just simply based on fib time. If you use fib time from my imaginary pivot, which is the all-time low, right to the pivot we put there, you'll see that basically the 1st of July is our 618. So the 618 from this range, this extension to there, that's the 618. And so potentially I'm thinking that the beginning of the month, the end of this month, the beginning of next month, we could potentially come to some kind of final low here. And then we have to see what happens to go up. Are we going to impulse? That's the question. The question that no one can really answer. But I think it's only possible when my Bitcoin dominance chart really, really tops out. Okay. And I think if you want altcoins to start impulsing, then Bitcoin really has to be strong. It has to basically be just about taking the all-time high and pushing into price discovery. And that's what I've noticed, like with Bitcoin in this market. Generally speaking, altcoins have been weak, except when Bitcoin is starting pumping. And so before it was just to fill the gaps in previous price action, but the real pump is in price discovery. And so if we find acceptance into price discovery, or if we can't get acceptance back into the current value area of the overall range, if we can leave this current value area and flip the value area high into support, then you're going to get a lot of altcoins pump again. So for now, my timings are for kind of roughly at the end of the month, just based on this kind of imagination, which is that's your wave 1 somewhat. And we're having some kind of correction here. If we do manage to impulse, it won't be the same as the first move. It'll be very different, I think. And I would like us, if we do manage to impulse, to get to and clear, if we can, 9 cents as get rid of the liquidity from 9 cents in one go. Basically go from where we are now or lower to 9 cents. And then I would like to see 5.5, 6 or whatever flipped again potentially. I'd like to see 5.5 back tested into some kind of support. And then we have to see what happens, because no one really knows. And then I think then you'd be looking for continuation, and then hopefully continuation. That's kind of what I'm contemplating. But obviously, if we do have another move, the most important task for us is to take out this high. And if we do have another move, and if it does shape out like the way I'm imagining it, I don't know. I don't think so, because the timings are all wrong. I mean, you could end up with whatever, however it plays out. And that, you know, I've talked about different types of patterns in the past, but we could be looking for some kind of rounding bottom my time frame. So could be looking for something like that. And naturally, this is how the price moves in that kind of rounding bottom, isn't it? It kind of does that, and then it kind of what's that? And then that's kind of what you want to see. That kind of that's basically your cup, isn't it? Your cup, and then the bear market could be a handle. However high we get to, wherever we put in that pivot, we can have a bear market handle, and then we can go to higher prices. That's kind of, at the moment, that's my higher time frame dream at the moment. Or obviously beyond that, my perfect dream would be let's go up to the moon right now. Let's just teleport to the moon. All right, so that's kind of what I'm looking at in TRVL. It's quite interesting because if you're not on the Telegram, you should go. I haven't really looked at Telegram in detail, but there's some good conversations here between this guy here. What's his name? Oh my God, Sin, did you just write that? That's a lot. So there's a lot of conversations, as you can see. It was actually this guy. Was it Alistair or Ferry? Ferry has been an active participant in Dtravel community, and he's got some good ideas. He's talking about the utility of the token, and he's obviously got some good ideas. So some good conversations here. Go and have a look. I'm not going to go through the whole lot, but I did see one really interesting point, and I'm just trying to find it. So he says, look here. Was that a response? I can't remember. I have a different position on that as well. So the money was raised by Dtravel project. According to the initial marketing, the TRVL token represents stakeholder membership in the Dtravel DAO and enables participation in governance and voting activities that influence how Dtravel platform is managed. Dtravel is a centralized autonomous organization, a community-owned and governed ecosystem that operates for the benefit of its community members, hosts, guests, contributors, and TRVL token holders. Thus, and this is the key point, Dtravel funds are community owned. And I think that's a really important conclusion to that statement, isn't it? He's come to the right conclusion. It's a conclusion that I came to in the past also. And what you have to understand is that there's no dictatorship here. It's a DAO. It's a decentralized autonomous organization, and token holders have voting rights over the direction and future of the DAO. Now we're in the early days. We haven't really even begun. Like, we're only just beginning. In the future, you can imagine a really more complicated, complex form of some kind of governance. I imagine a future where you have DAOs being run by AI, and where stakeholders or voting holders can just vote for everything. You know, it's community powered, but it's being run by some kind of smart brain. But that, I'm just talking about the far future. In the near future, i.e. the now, effectively, the community fund, all the treasury and all of that actually belongs to the community. It all belongs to the community. So when people are looking at the tokenomics on the Dtravel page, it belongs to us. So it belongs to the token holders. And when you're looking at the breakdown, here it is. Community treasury. The growth fund is there for growing the network and the project, which is obviously administered by the foundation or the Dtravel team. And the reserve is just the reserve. It's literally just, it's like permanently vested. It's just basically your backup. And effectively the community treasury belongs to the community. So all of these TRVL in the community treasury, according to this, June 28, it's 153 million TRVL in the community treasury. It hasn't been depleted yet. And that belongs to me, effectively. So the more TRVL tokens I have, the more voting power I have, and the more influence I have. Now, we're only just beginning, and I think that's really important to remember. Yeah. Once the governance is fully operational and implemented, and we're starting to have votes on a regular basis, a periodic basis, and I think then it's going to start to take shape and form, and then people are going to really understand the value in owning TRVL. Okay, I think that's kind of what he was alluding to. I think I'm kind of on the same page as him in terms of that's what my imagination is. So while people are thinking to themselves, oh, we want this to have value, or TRVL, and then I think the conversation was because the question was whether the token reflects equity or not. See, look, buying utility tokens is different than owning equity in a company. And I think people have asked this question. I've asked this question too. And the answer is that Dtravel are trying to stay within the unwritten rules of whether centralized authorities like the SEC come after these cryptos because they think that somehow it's a security. Now, I've spoken to my lawyer friend. He thinks it's still a security, but I think the idea is that they're trying to avoid that future battle. I don't know if it's the right strategy, but then the question is, if you do own equity, then what equity would you own? Does Dtravel even, I mean, maybe technology, how is that tangible? How do you reflect that into token value? I think the way the tokenomics has been designed would be better, is already better, because any real world value is already translated into token value. There's a direct relationship. And that was basically what I was getting at many months ago, where we need to translate real world value into token value, but it doesn't, the token doesn't have to reflect equity. Yeah, it doesn't have to reflect equity. If the tokenomics increases the value of the token through other means, whether it's through burning, or whether it's through usage, utility, or whether it's through staking, which is taking tokens out of the supply, or other means where there's more demand. And I think really the more demand for TRVL is going to be the big growth in TRVL. So that's directly related to the network growth and the growth of the physical network. And so that's why this is quite exciting, because that effectively means that the growth is potentially limitless, because if you suddenly have 1 million operators on our network using TRVL, because there's actual utility, I think there's nothing that the growth through people, through the demand that comes from people needing TRVL, is where most of the growth in the value is going to come. Okay, the future value, which is the real world aspect, which is just the business part of it, will be a constant increase in value, but it won't be sudden. It won't be like where the network starts to grow. That's where you're going to get most of the value. The exponential growth at the beginning is the network growing exponentially. That's really where most of the value. So all of these conversations about, in my opinion, I like them, but they're really, in my mind, they're quite moot in the context of people wanting to see their values increase, because it doesn't really matter if you were to say, oh, I want to make this an equity. I don't think suddenly the values are going to go up to the moon. I don't think it's going to really make much difference. What will make a difference is when people start to hear about Dtravel, and when we start to get more and more operators onto our network, and then obviously travelers start to use our network. I think that would make more of a difference. But it's good, some good conversations here. I'm just adding my 2 cents, but nothing really. It's just good to go and have a chat. James Jordan 23 is still at it. He's still chatting and giving his opinions, and it's quite interesting. And we've also had a weekly update today. Hello Dtravel community, please enjoy your weekly update. Airbnb Sync is live on production. Well done, bravo, clap clap, and has already been tested by a number of existing users. I haven't tested it. We'll be pushing out, that's fine, I don't mind. We'll be pushing out this update publicly and to our waitlist next week. Okay. Dtravel rewards logic is finalized and backend work has kicked off. We're excited to distribute meaningful rewards to those who contribute to growing the ecosystem. New website updates and Dtravel app are ready to go live. We'll be rolling this out shortly, likely as a soft launch to our community of early access to the rewards program. Thank you. Final TRVL integration audits are being done, and version 3 Night Protocol contracts are being migrated to new chain. That's the one, isn't it? That's what we're looking for. New chain. What is the new chain? You can have 3 guesses. Let's see. Next, focus on the version 4 Night Protocol contract implementation and to finalize the decision on decentralized storage. So thank you. I like that one. And something to note is that they need faster service. I don't know how they're going to do that within a small, relatively modest budget. What did Cynthia say up here? Oh my God, yeah. Hey everyone, appreciate the feedback and open discussion. As always, we encourage open discourse and for everyone to ask questions, and we'll do our best to answer. As everyone knows, the Web3 space is very new and changes every few months. What was right, or at least seemed right 6 months ago or 3 months ago, often changes in hindsight with advances in tech, landscape, and regulations. DAOs are one of these things that have evolved and continue to evolve, and I don't think there's a right answer on how to build a DAO, as everyone's building the plane as they're trying to fly it. The intention and long-term goal is still for this to be a DAO. So that's kind of what I was saying. This has not, nor will be changed in the future. The vision of an open, decentralized, peer-to-peer vacation rental ecosystem, much bigger than that, because vacation rentals is where we begin. It's not where we end, because Dtravel is decentralized travel. That's just my whatever, my addition. Can't be achieved without widespread community ownership. We're going to be launching our community growth program soon, which will ensure fair distribution of TRVL to community members who provide valuable work to the network by helping it grow. This provides a threefold benefit. Our community will grow. We'll reward people for work in a Web3 way that delivers on the promise of a DAO structure, and there will be greater distribution and diversity of members who can contribute to governance because there'll be more token holders. Okay. So they've got their DAO governance published paper. There's a link there. I'm going to paste that link here. You guys want to have a look? And the next stages of this is putting forward, also putting a framework into place that balances two things: flexibility for execution as well as participation for community members. We have the initial framework for this and have been waiting until some big initiatives have been released to put this into motion. Initially, the idea is to have proposals created by the core team, which can be voted on by the community. Once we do this a few times and have a good proposal structure in place, we'll open this to community members to create proposals that can be voted on. This is exciting. Governance is one of the initiatives as part of the new tokenomics that we want to put into place. However, growth, especially given the timing of where the market is and is going, we felt it was more important to prioritize initiatives that would accelerate growth first. We're not a traditional private company. We have never raised any equity in case there are concerns around this. Basically what I was saying. The reason we don't disclose more private info like where the company is registered is due to security risks. Hackers are very savvy and will use whatever info they can get to social engineer or get access, and security is one of our biggest priorities always, both of the project and of individual members, to ensure we mitigate and reduce security risks as much as possible. On the financial side, I understand the points about this, how this might give people more insight into where we're at. One risk that sharing more detailed info poses is that it's very easy to misunderstand just a number without a ton of context. And it's hard to provide that context easily unless you're in the day-to-day operations. One thing I can assure you is that our one-way is fine. I can agree to that, as I've seen. And we're constantly reviewing to make sure we're not increasing our costs. I'm extremely confident that if anyone saw how low the team salaries are to ensure how we preserve our one-way, you'd be shocked. I can 100% agree with Cynthia here. She's basically, we're on the same page, and they don't have good salaries. It's basically their payday is TRVL going to the moon. That's really their payday. That's their salary. You know, other than that, it's really a lifelong kind of vocation in a sense. All right, so that's TRVL. Any questions on TRVL? This is my higher time frame kind of current idea. Some kind of rounding bottom here. And let's see if we can take out that high. That's kind of where I'm at the moment. Until then, I don't really see anything other than my only thing that I don't want to see happen is this. I don't want to see the all-time low taken out. I don't think that's going to happen, just simply because we've had a lot of selling, you know. How much more selling is there? I just don't understand. Like, how much more? Where do people get their TRVL from? They're selling so much. So I don't know where. I don't understand that. And then the other thing is that we're nicely, we've come into the golden pocket. I'll do it accurately so you can see now. See, we've just now, for the first time, see that we're kind of into the golden pocket now, and maybe we'll go to the other side somewhere here, maybe, before we see what happens. Maybe, I don't know, but maybe. And that obviously, that was, what can you do? You know, people selling. It's a lot of volume. I don't know where people are getting their TRVL from. So they're probably just buying higher and selling lower and making a loss. Because I think with the amount of volume that's come out, I'm just wondering where did it come from? I can't see where it came from, and certainly not in this up move. So it must be like trapped liquidity from previously. See, look, the volume, most of the volume's above us now, and it just makes you think, where's the volume coming from now? So that's all I'm just thinking about that. And then let's see what happens. Maybe if we can bottom out here, that would be really nice to see. And I don't know if we're going to be able to turn impulsively unless the Dtravel team are able to initiate that critical part, which is the ability for us to utilize TRVL in a tangible, meaningful way, which produces or increases value through some kind of, whether it's staking or whether it's some kind of utility to do with the Dtravel network. I think that's probably going to be the catalyst for some kind of impulsive move. Beyond that, it's going to require Bitcoin to pump into all-time highs, I think. Okay, and then obviously we have to consider Bitcoin dominance, which is, again, I'm going back to it, because even though I've got the resistance level here, it's also possible that we actually top out there. And so you have to see, it's always the same with tokens. They can only go up or down. Yeah, if they go up, that's strong, you buy. If they go down, you're trying to catch it as low as possible. And so there's always this kind of divergence between where you'll buy, which is strength. So like if the price went up now, you could see strength, and so you end up buying higher. Or actually, when people are looking at this, they're thinking to themselves, it'd be nice if we could pick up TRVL right down here at 2.9 cents, or right down here at 2.2 cents. People are thinking that. They are. It makes sense. And they might miss the boat, but they're willing to take that risk. All right. Here, sorry, I was showing the wrong screen again. This is what I mean, the golden pocket. See, so we've come into the golden pocket here. So maybe if we get to the other side of the golden pocket, maybe we could, if we can, bottom up there, that would be nice. And if obviously I want it as high as possible, but I'm contemplating as low as that. And then obviously I want to see Bitcoin dominance. Somehow it would be nice if Bitcoin dominance could get up there, or even up there, just for that. Let me have a look at Slurf. What's Slurf doing? Is it going up? Is it going down?